Hello, this is my mother, Michelle Tullis. She's going to tell us an exciting travel adventure she had when she was 18 teaching English in Asia.
Okay, so there I was at the top of the Himalayas, the tallest mountains in the world, and I was all by myself without any money or my passport, and I was in trouble. So let me just back up and give you some background on it. So when I was 18, I was teaching English in Taiwan, and I went with two of my friends, Ryan and Julie. We traveled through Asia. And my friend Ryan, he was like a big mountain climber. He was really excited to go to the Himalayas. So Julie and I went with him, and we went on a 10-day trek through the Himalayas. So we had big backpacks on, hiking boots, our hats. We were all ready to go for 10 days on this trek. So I had a little fanny pack where I kept my passport and my traveler's checks and my money, all the things I needed to survive around my waist. But over time, it was just getting hard. And so I took the fanny pack and I put it on the back of my backpack, kind of strapped it around it. So we were just traveling up for days and days. And we started getting so high that I was getting altitude sickness. And so I was getting kind of dizzy and lightheaded, and I wasn't really thinking straight. And anyways, my friend Ryan, he was very fit and athletic, and he said, well, let me just carry your backpack for you for a little bit. And he was just carrying it under his arm. And I was just so grateful because it was really heavy. It was like 80, 100 pounds. So it was big backpack.
Wow.
Yeah, because it had everything I needed in it. And anyways, I was talking to my friend Julie as we were just walking up, and he kind of raced ahead. And we were on the last day where we were going to the highest point to a base camp that was kind of up in a glacier. It was just snow everywhere. And when I finally got up there, I was probably maybe an hour behind Brian. He'd been there at the base camp for a while in some nice areas where Sherpas had prepared beds that you could rent and food. And when I got up there, I was like, Ryan, where's my fanny pack with all my stuff? And he's like, I don't know. It was there when I took it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, it has everything, all my important valuables. And so I was really sick, but he was kind of like, I must have dropped it along the way. And so he wanted to stay up there, and so did Julie. So I had no choice but to just go back down myself and retrace our steps to see, if it had fallen off by the wayside somewhere and I could find it. Because if it didn't, I was in trouble because my airline tickets were there. There's no way I could get back to Taiwan where I lived at the time. And so I just was looking everywhere and going down and down. And eventually Ryan and Julie came down, and they were like, oh, we're going to take this other way and go look for your stuff this other way because we haven't seen anything. And I had traveled a day or two by myself down this, this steep hiking path. And I just couldn't find it anywhere. It was nowhere to be found. And my friend Ryan was kind of he was really looking because I think he thought it would be there. He really thought it would be there. But I eventually came to this, I can't remember if they're Australian or European, but it was this nice tea house where, people could stay. And there was this couple there, and I explained to them my situation, that I had nothing, and I couldn't even eat food because I didn't have any money to pay for it.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And so they were really kind, and I think they loaned me a couple $100, maybe it was $50, I can't remember. But they told me where in Kathmandu, the main city where their lodgings were, and they said I could borrow the money and then return it to them. And I was so grateful for that, for their generosity in trusting me, because they probably thought they would never see that money ever again. But I was able to take that money and be able to pay for my accommodations and food
That's good.
down the rest of the mountain by myself because Ryan and Julie had left. They just kind of abandoned me.
Oh my.
I know. And I was able to get down to the bottom to the city called Annapurna and then take a bus from there to Kathmandu and talk to the U.S. Embassy there. And after many, many weeks, I was able to get my passport renewed and I was able to get my traveler's checks returned to me. So I finally had a little bit of money. And then I was also able to make friends with the guy at the airline. This was like kind of before computers, and he had to go back in and look through a bunch of papers to find my airline ticket. And anyways, I was eventually, after many weeks, able to get everything restored to me. And I made a point to go to the place, the lodgings where this couple who gave me money.
Right.
I went back there. I think I rode a bike or something, and I paid them back the money that I owed them.
That's
and they were
good.
just kind of really surprised to see me.
That you actually paid them
Yeah.
back.
And because I think it's really important to always be honest, no matter what you do.
Sure.
And it was really interesting. I eventually made my way back to Taiwan where I lived. And about a month later, Julie came back, and they had gone to India. And she was like, oh my gosh, Ryan has gone crazy. It turns out she figured out that he didn't have any money to begin with to go on this trip.
What?
And so he was borrowing money from like his girlfriend, his Chinese girlfriend, and he kept borrowing money from Julie, and they were in India. And she said that they had no money for food because they'd burned through all of her money, and he had no money. And he kind of, I think he was like using drugs or something like that. But he made a bunch of weird decisions. Like he decided to buy like this big sitar when they had no money for food.
What in the
I
world?
know, it was like this Indian guitar. And then he like floated his Birkenstocks, his shoes down this river. And then she was like, this guy's crazy, and she was trying to get away from him. But eventually, like, somebody reported him and he got turned into this mental hospital.
Whoa.
Because he was telling everybody he was Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And so they put him in this mental institute, and he didn't know who he was. Like, they had no identity for him.
Oh my gosh.
But his mom back here in Utah kept calling Julie trying to figure out like how to find her son because nobody knew where he was, right? And eventually somehow he kind of woke up from his crazy state, and he told them his name, and they were able to connect him with his mom, and he had like a police escort back to the United States.
Whoa.
And they found out that he had like manic depression. And so he was doing all these really crazy things and just causing a lot of problems for a lot of people. And so Julie was like, Michelle, you were lucky to get away from him as soon as you did, even though it meant being by myself for weeks and weeks in this foreign country. And so it was kind of a crazy adventure, but I learned from that lesson that you have to be careful about the people you associate with, and you have to really learn, know if you can trust them and not just assume you can trust people. And just to be honest and to help people as much as you can, because you never know when somebody's going to need your help and when you're going to need somebody's help. So it's always better to be kind and serve and love and help others. So anyways, that was my exciting adventure that I had when I was 18 years old.
That's such a cool story. Thank you for sharing. It was very interesting.
Good.